Thank you for joining the August 27th, 2019 VOLTA call. Just a reminder to everyone that these meetings are public and recorded, and we do post them to YouTube after the meeting concludes. So please keep that in mind during the discussions and if we have any presentations today as well. With that, we'll do a quick recap of what we've got on the agenda today and then start with our first topic. So first item today is reviewing the new JIRAs that have come in since the last time we ran through those. And then after that, we're going to have a recap or an overview from David on some guidelines that he sent over VOLTA to discuss related to how to handle patch sets and merges and so forth now that we have that stabilization branch completed or created, because we have to do some cherry picking for bug fixes, for example. And then after that, some discussion on VOLTA 2.1 Sprint 6. In particular, I wanted to check with folks today is because of the overlap of the schedule with ONF Connect to see whether or not we should extend the duration by 1 week. And then I do have a couple notes on here as well for just FYI, for example. First one does have an action item for this team, and that is that the offline discussion related to supporting multiple TCONs, that did happen, and the results have been posted on VOLTA discussed by Girish. So I did provide a link to that in the minutes that will go out for this meeting. And so I'm asking the community to review that and respond if you have any questions or feedback so that we can take that up either in VOLTA discuss or on a future VOLTA call if needed. And then also an FYI, and I know many of you were on David's Stabilization Brigade call, but if you were not, just an FYI of interest for this group is that Suchitra gave a presentation on the automation framework proposal. So if you do want to hear that and listen to the discussion, see the material, please watch for the link that David will send out later in his minutes for the Stabilization Brigade. Are there any other items that you'd like to see addressed on today's call? Okay, let's go to the first topic. 1864 is the first item, and let me see if, I'm not sure, yes, Gio, I think you're on the bridge today. I think we have a path forward on this item. 1864, need a kind VOLTA framework capable of deploying locally built Docker images. You had some dialogue with David. Any comments we need to address today on this call?
It's just that, you know, well, I mean, overall, the plan has been moved a bit, so it's been extended by 2 weeks. So we're now into the beginning of October before we can finish all the test cases. But in terms of this issue, yes, there's a way forward. So I'm going to use a kind load Docker image to push all the locally based images into the worker nodes. And that's so I've tried that manually and it works. I just got to automate that now.
Okay. And while we're on that, you did reference the schedule for the work that you're doing.
Yes.
The automation framework over to 2.0 as well. So I'll go ahead and take this opportunity to make a call out here. If there's anyone else from the community that would like to collaborate with Gilles on that work, please let us know, let him know, so that we can get you integrated into that process to assist with the work.
So Gilles, why don't you talk to Suchitra about the way we are proposing to do things in for just VOLTA-based testing. We just spent a large part of the Stabilization Brigade call talking about it.
Yeah.
It would be good if you and Suchitra can converge onto one framework.
Possibly. Yeah, let me take that up. You have a good point, because I know they're using patch sets, but they're not. So the main focus for our work is for each patch set being tested. She's going after. I think it's a number of patch sets because she doesn't want, but she's using also hardware, physical hardware, I guess, to test. And I guess maybe she's using SIBA, and I'm focusing on VOLTHA. So there's a bit of
there's a lot of things that are different. So our stuff used to be all SIBA, but it's not SIBA. We're converting that to VOLTHA only tests. So it's not going to have the NEM layer, for example, in those tests. And it's not just about a combination of patchsets. It can be done per patchset. So I don't know. I think David has a recording that he will post soon of the previous.
I was on the call.
Oh, I see. But was it not? So then, was it not clear that it's about BBSIM based tests, but it's also about hardware tests? It's not just nightly collection of patchset tests, but on a per patchset test as well, using BBSIM and kind VOLTHA.
Yeah, I saw that it was a collection of patch sets. Yeah.
No, it's also per patchset.
Individual?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, okay. Why don't you just talk? Spend some time talking to Zach and Suchitra, and maybe try and come up with a.
Well, to understand the differentiation of the work that we're doing versus the work that they are doing. Yeah. Okay, it's worth having a discussion for sure.
All right. And if we need to take any of that back onto a future group discussion, please let me know, and we can do that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Then we'll go ahead and move on to our next item. We have a new defect raised. Medium priority was preliminarily assigned. 1865 simulated ONU adapter chart seemed to declare an incorrect image name. And Jill, it looks like you reported this one.
Yes, I did. Yeah, so I was on to trying to test out the manual pushing of the image, but what it turned out is that for this the simulate ONU, it had the wrong image name. With the underscore as opposed to the hyphen, so I couldn't push the image name. I'm not sure if anyone else has seen this.
Weird, because the simulated ONU has been starting. Assign this to me and I'll take a look at it. So.
Okay. Okay, so David, you want me to put this in the current sprint then?
Yes, please.
All right, map that over. And while I'm talking current sprint, just a reminder everyone that yesterday we kicked off Sprint 6, so we are now in a new sprint. Okay, next we have another defect that was raised, Vol 1866, need to update VOLTHA Go dependencies, and David, it looks like this was opened by you. It looks like this is labeled for stabilization.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting this will probably be covered by the brigade participant.
Well, it's covered by anybody. It's when I label things with stabilization, it just means they're important to the stabilization brigade, not necessarily the brigade's going to do it.
That's true.
Or members of the brigade are going to be do it.
Good point. Okay, any questions from the group on this item? So currently we do not have anyone assigned to look at this. We have someone who's willing to take that on. Go ahead and assign it to yourself. Okay, then let's go on to the next item, 1867, a new task that was opened, move simulated OLT adapter to its own repo. And this one was opened by David. And we've got a similar one next for the simulated ONU adapter moving to its own repo. Any questions from the group? Are these items we want to try and get covered in this next sprint, or TBD in terms of timing for this?
Just one quick question. If we're going to move those components to their own repo, is there somebody that is going to have permission to create those repos on Gerrit for us?
Typically, Zach.
Okay.
I don't think we have him on the bridge at the moment.
Because we need those to be created first and then do the movement.
And also, he may be able to facilitate the movement with history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, so I think we should probably follow up with some discussion with Zach on that. And so 1868 was the related simulated ONU adapter to its own repo. I think we covered those pretty much at the same time. We'll go on to Vol 1869. David, it looks like you opened this one as well. Reactivate advanced static analysis on VOLTHA OpenOLT adapter. I think this came out of some of the work you were doing related to some merges and then creating the new branch last week and so forth.
Yes. It says something's been merged already.
Yeah, I do see one merge and then a second patch out there under review. So let me go ahead and move this to the active sprint since it's being worked at the moment. Any questions from the group on this item? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Move this over. And next item, 1870, and this was opened by David as well. Activate advanced static analysis on all Go projects. I think this is a follow-up that was referenced in the previous one. Any questions from the group? All right, go ahead and move on. Vol 1871, move BBSIM to use GoDep for dependency management with tendering. And this is from David as well. Do we have any questions or discussion with the group? Okay. Next, 1872, update BBSIM to depend on released version of VOLTHA Proto. And again, this is one from David. Any discussion? Okay.
I think we'll talk about BBSIM next on the SIBA call in the next hour. I think
Okay.
Matteo, can we pose this question? I think he can pick this up. Yeah, so maybe good to ask him on in the next hour.
Yeah, he's doing the rewrite of BDSIM, so some of these may become moot once we age out the other one.
And go ahead. As Saurav just mentioned, there is that discussion on the SIBA call, which happens directly after this one. I meant to call that out at the beginning as well, and I forgot. So that I think will be of interest for a number of folks on this call. Okay, then moving on to the next, we have a new defect that was raised, Vol 1873, a router's Kubernetes client Go dependency needs to be updated. And this is another opened by David. Any questions from the group? And currently,
yes. On this, I think this is Girish, and I think me and my team from Infosys, I think we are going to start contributing on VOLTHA. So we can probably take it up. I just had one question regarding this. I think what we could understand on this particular issue, as well as issue number 1866, which you talked earlier. Sorry, I was on mute at that time. Issue is that there's no version defined on the dependency. I guess that's the only problem, right? Which we need to probably fix up. It is always pointing to the latest that is causing this problem.
It was no, it wasn't just the latest. Well, it might be. I'll have to go back and think about it, look at it. Clearly, the latest was having an issue, or whatever version I was pulling down was having an issue because there was some known issues around the dependencies and how they got domino affected through Kubernetes. So yes, we need to go through and make sure we're relying on static releases of everything, or a version release. But there was also a problem with some of the version releases with Kubernetes, so you just had to be careful which release you picked.
Okay. All right, and what is the convention we are going with? We are just trying to look out for something latest, but which is latest one which is stable. That's the convention.
Yeah, pretty much. The latest stable would be a good place to go.
All right. Okay. Fine. I think we'll pick it up. This one in the 1866.
Okay. Should I go ahead and add your name here?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Yeah. It's Girish Kumar. Yeah, you can see. I think 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Let me go ahead and I'll move this into Sprint then. And then, did you say you were planning to have your team look at 1873 as well?
Yeah. You can assign it to Hardik. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Did you have any other questions on this one that need clarification while we've got David and others on the bridge?
Nothing as of now. Yeah, I will probably ping David if something comes up on Slack.
Great. Thank you. All right. Then let's go ahead to our next item. New task opened 1874, update Helm charts to use the latest released images. This one is done. Any questions for David on that item? Okay. Then next, 1875, update the read-write core and read-only core parameters to the expected types. This was reported by Ken.
Yeah, this is more like just to align, to make it a little bit more clearer for whoever's setting up these parameters. For example, if we are we're expecting a time duration in the code in the config, then it's better for somebody to put in the time like 1 second instead of just put an integer in which they have no idea what it means. So it's more cleanup than anything else.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Ken. Any questions from the group? Okay, so right now we don't have this one targeted for release. Is this one we would like to try and do the cleanup in 2.1 or leave it unassigned until we get a little further along with some of the other work? Any thoughts from the group?
You can assign that to me, and I'll take a look at it.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and put it in 2.1. Oh, this can get this to populate for me. Okay. Thank you. And next, we've got 1876, a new defect that was opened with low priority on OLT pre-provisioning. LLDP flow is installed 3 times on the OLT. And we have the description here. Initially, it's added twice in the OLT and then immediately removed. Then the flow is added a 3rd time, which then persists. And a capture of the logs below. And it looks like Humira opened this and self-assigned as well.
Do we know if this is being driven by ONOS, or is this being driven by something below ONOS? If it's assigned, I guess I don't have to worry about it. But.
Yeah, David, so what I know about this is that ONOS is sending it only once. It's somewhere either in the core or in the adapter that this is happening.
All right, thank you.
Amit, do you know if this is planned to be worked? Should I move it into the current sprint?
Yeah, I think it should be because she is
Okay.
working on this. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Next, we've got 1877. This one is in progress. Unsupported instruction flows observed in Volt Kettle. This is opened by Scott. And David, it looks like you are working on this item.
Has it been merged? Yeah, if it's been merged, we can mark it.
I don't see a merge. I do see it out there for
So
review.
it's waiting review to be merged. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go on to I should have asked, any questions from the group before we move on? Okay, next we've got 1878, support for LLDP trap flow in OpenOLT adapter. This is another that Humira reported and self-assigned as well. It looks like we do have a couple items out there for review right now in Garrett. So I'll go ahead and map this one into the sprint, so we're tracking it there. And this is pretty much self-described by the title. Do we have any questions from this group that need to go back?
And you sent an email about this. If you put a patch set into master, please cherry pick it into VOLTHA 2.1 branch if it's a patch. And same goes if you put a patch set into VOLTHA 2.1, please cherry pick it into master for bug fixes.
And then as soon as we're done reviewing the rest of these, we'll go over that again and make sure we've got everyone on board for that or aware of that. Okay. Then going on next, we've got 1879, support transparent CTAG handling in OpenOLT and OpenONU adapters in VOLTHA 2.x. And it looks like this one was reported by Harsh and assigned, self-assigned as well. Actually, it looks like this has two of the related subtasks that are in progress as well. And we've got some patches out there for review. Do you have any questions from the group on the call today? Let me go ahead and put this in the active sprint since we've got some items out there for review. And then 1880 and 1881 should be the subtasks for this, I believe, for transparent CTAG handling in OpenOLT, and then the paired one for handling in OpenONU. Okay, we'll go on to the next item then. 1882, this is another defect that was raised. Affinity router skip field may not skip variants correctly. This was opened by Scott, and it looks like he's assigned it to himself as well. Do you have any questions from this group today? And we do have a capture of the issue below. Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Let me see if we've got Scott. Scott, is this one you're planning to work in the active sprint, or is this a future item for you? And he may be on, I see a comment, his mic is not working. Okay, so Scott, I can follow up with you after, or if you are planning on working on it in the sprint, feel free to move it over yourself, or I can do that later if needed. Okay, any questions for Scott on this item before we move on? Okay, next we've got 1883, another defect that was opened, proxy address none during MIB reset. And Mahir, it looks like you opened this one and self-assigned.
Yes, correct.
Do we have any discussion with the group on this item today or any questions? And it looks like we do have patches out there for review at the moment as well. I note those in Garrett.
Yes, I uploaded 2 patches, one in VOLTHA and the other in ONO adapter, so waiting for review.
Okay, thank you. Let me go ahead and map this in so that we make sure we get status tracked during the sprint. Hopefully we'll get some reviews in there for our next.
I think the PyVolta has a build error for that one review.
I think it doesn't. So when I first uploaded it, it had an error because of the version, but I think I corrected it and it's now succeeded. But
Okay.
I'll check it again.
Yeah, it looks like it did succeed yesterday after you uploaded an additional patch set. Okay, other discussion or question? Okay, then next we've got 1884. This one is another defect that was raised, low priority. AF router does not stop on shutdown signal if streaming request is open. We have the note here, and streaming request never closed by default. So Kent reported this one. It's currently unassigned. Do we have any questions from the group or discussion on this today? Okay, any views? It is a low priority defect, but any views on whether we should target this one for 2.1?
I plan to fix this just kind of when I get to it, but I'm not sure when that will be. So I think just leave it for now.
Okay, will do. Thank you. All right, so let me do a refresh, see if anything else has come in. It looks like that takes us through our new issues that have come in over the past week. So David, next I'd like to hand it over to you to kind of review what you'd sent on email and made some comments too during the review here as well, related to the guidelines for what needs to be cherry picked, where new feature patches should go, and so forth. I don't know if you want to share anything, or I can pull up your email if you give
I was just going to share the email.
Here, let me go ahead. I'll give you presentation right. So I think everyone's seen that over VOLTHA Discuss, but wanted to make sure we had a chance to get everyone on a call together in case anyone has questions, make sure everything is clear and people understand the path forward here. Okay, David, and we can see your screen.
Excellent. So first and foremost, we are now in a place where we have a stabilization branch called VOLTHA-1 or 2.1. as well as master, with the concept that new features may be put into master. Bug fixes this means need to go into both branches. So if you happen to have a patch set currently against master that is a bug fix for the existing feature sets, please cherry pick that into the stabilization branch, VOLTHA 2.1. as well as if you have a bug fix against the stabilization branch, please cherry pick that back into master. I'll try to monitor it and nag people when I catch it, but I'm sure there's going to be ones that I miss. So again, just if people could remember to do cherry picks. The concept was to do bug fix against the stabilization branch and then cherry pick them into master, but the reality is they're going to go both ways. Just please cherry pick. The notes that are on screen right now are essentially almost stream of consciousness as I went through some of the merging for the tech profile patch sets, which were rather large, and really just highlight some of the things I hit that I thought we could do better and would make things easier in the future. First one here is and we have 2 JIRAs to back it up, was when we have essentially nested projects in our repos today. Examples were the simulated OLT and ONU adapter, which come under the VOLTHA Go repo. And so you can't just change one version in file, you have to change 3. And how things are set up, if I wanted to just version the sub repo, it really wouldn't work well. So in other words, it causes conflict. So we need to do a better job of determining what is essentially an independent project. And a good rule of thumb is if you have a version file, you're an independent project and should be in your own repo. And so going and disaggregating all those repos would make life easier, I think, down the road. Also allows us to version independently a lot easier. I did go through the projects as I was going through here and noticed that there are areas that we still depended on essentially latest or branches. I caught some of those I didn't. But in terms of tagged releases in particular, but really branches and everything else, you should not be depending on branches between releases. Or between repos. A repo should depend on a released artifact from another repo. So if that means you need to make it, you have a dependency. If X depends on Y, and in order to implement a new feature on X, you have to upgrade Y. You have to then update Y, release Y, then upgrade it, then update X. That puts a little more process into it, but ensures that we are very clear of what our dependency chains are in terms of versions, and we're not going to run into the case where, hey, X stopped working, why? We don't know why it stopped working. And it turned out that X was dependent on the head of Y, and something changed in Y that X wasn't notified about, right? So going through the repos, we just need to be clear that we are going to depend on release versions between repos because they're separate projects, and this should depend on released artifacts. Verification. I did note there was a verification suite on the OpenLT adapter that did some advanced static analysis on the code. It was actually good stuff when I went through it and was valuable information. But it was keeping the patch set from verifying, so I temporarily disabled it because unfortunately I found out it was keeping that patch set from verifying after I had already started the tech profile patches being merged. So it's one of those scenarios where we were in the middle of something and we had to move forward. And it passed basic lint, it just didn't pass the advanced source code analysis. So that has been reactivated, I think I saw in the patch sets earlier. But I do think it came up with some valuable feedback. I'm all for static analysis, so I think we need to turn that on other projects as well. I mean, the lesson here for me was obviously check your patch sets to make sure they're all verified before you do, the first patch, because that bit me. But it also means that we're going to be a little more stringent in terms of static code analysis. So what passes with normal GoLint won't pass here, and we'll have to, I assume, maybe tweak some profiles around the source code analysis if there are rules that it catches that we think, okay, fine, but we don't care, or we want that as a warning, not as a fatal. We can do tweaks like that as we discussed, but I think having better analysis is valuable going forward. And the final item I had here was around Go dependency management. We have 2 types of dependency management with our Go projects today. One is using dep, one is using mod. Now in theory, they're in separate repos, so it doesn't matter from that perspective, but I think it's valuable if we unified around one, just because it makes management of the code bases easier. People, as they move from one code base to another, we're using the same tools, particularly if we're using the same language. It just allows people to more easily migrate from one project to another and contribute between projects. So I'm recommending, and I actually got the JIRA here, that we move the existing BBSIM to go dependencies as from mod. That may or may not need to be done based on the meeting we're having after this, where Teo's gonna go over the new BBSIM. So I'm hoping it uses GoDep as well. Otherwise, we're back in the same thing. But again, from our projects, from an ONF perspective, everything in our Garrett, if it's using the same tool set, it will make life easier for contributors and developers. So those were kind of the highlights of things I ran into while I was going through migration. And a lot of them are just little nits, but I think they will help us come up with a easier to manage the code base. The two items that I'd highlight that will probably make the biggest impact and be most cause most trouble for developers are, of course, going through and making sure we depend on released artifacts as opposed to branches, as well as advanced static code analysis. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, David. I'll go ahead and take presentation rights back. All right. Then next on our agenda was looking at the preliminary scope for Sprint 6. We've been mapping a few of the in-progress items over there as we went along, reviewing the new JIRAs that have been opened. The question I wanted to bring up with the group today is, when I opened it yesterday, I did use our standard 3-week interval, but I did want to bring that up for discussion with the group. So this puts the end date at September 13th, meaning that the final week for this sprint would be during ONF Connect. And so I know not everyone is going to be involved with ONF Connect, but I do know a number of the developers and community members involved with VOLTHA will be participating in ONF Connect. So is there enough of a concern with schedules that you think it'd be useful to extend the duration of Sprint 6 from 3 weeks to 4 weeks so that we close out the week after ONF Connect? Any thoughts from the group?
Yeah, extend it, because ONF Connect's not going to be a big work week. That's my opinion.
That's what I expected. All right, so I'll add that to I'll modify the sprint so it has a close date of, I think that would make it the 20th of September. Yes, 20th September, so I'll get that updated after the call. Then let's take a look at where we are with the active sprint. Just before I flip over, since we may run close on time and I want to let everyone go at the end, I did want to make that one more pointer that we had that presentation during the Stabilization Brigade today on the automation framework proposal. And so if you were not able to participate in that call earlier and want to listen to it, David usually sends out the recording link in his meeting minutes for the brigade, and that gets sent to VOLTHA Discuss. So you'll have a chance to review that. So just watch for that if you're interested. So we'll go over to the board. We do have a number of items that carried over from Sprint 5 into Sprint 6. I did have, I think it was a question on 1623. Amit, are you still on the bridge? I'm not.
Yes, Julie.
Okay, I thought you might have been on mute. Is 1623 done? It had two related subtasks. This is for support for interpreting meter ID and write metadata action in core. So the subtasks were complete. I didn't see anything remaining open in Garrett. I wasn't sure if this was still undergoing some additional testing or additional work, or if it could be closed out or moved to done.
I think it mostly should be done, but let me cross-check with the guy who's working on this, Manik. I'll update it on the issue on the grid.
Great, thank you. Okay. Then, so we have that is one of the items that carried over. I think this will be done shortly. We also have the support transparent CTAC handling in the adapters, and that we discussed earlier today, I believe. We have the OLT reboot using Edge Core 1383 with a couple of the remaining subtasks still open for the soft reboot, which is in progress, and then for OLT disable enable with 2 ONUs connected. And so I think we have a little remaining work there on that larger story. And then we still have the end-to-end integration testing in Kubernetes environment. That one just kind of carries over sprint to sprint. I'm not sure if we have a way to close this out at some point where we consider it ready, but that one I expect will remain open for this sprint as well. We do have a number of issues that are still in progress. We've talked about 1864 on the call today. 1624 has a number of items. I think this is getting close. So 1623, I think, is one we just talked about. So if 1623 closes out, then I think that clears the path for us to complete the work on 1624. And then we have, so we'll track that one once we get an update on 1623. 1638, we have covered with under, I think it's tracked under the Battle Brigade work ongoing there. And let me see if we've got, I don't see Jason on the bridge. Okay, so this one is still, in progress. My screen just jumped, sorry about that. I have a question on the Golang implementation of OF agent. So this is one that last I heard, I don't think Mark had the cycles to work on it at this time. So it was sort of a open-ended on when this would be completed. Is this something that you think we need to move out of our target for the active sprint? Do we need to move this to a future item or still try and cover it in 2.1? Any thoughts from the group? I think
we moved implementation and this out. I thought.
I don't know what's going on with my screen. Sorry about this. See if I can.
This is the OF agent issue, right?
Yep, this is the OF agent issue.
Yeah, I thought we moved that out.
We moved it out of the previous sprint, but it just went to the next one, I think. So should I put it from VOLTHA 1 to VOLTHA future?
Yeah, I'd put it future. I think this is, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me, there we go. It did work. So let me move this out of the sprint. Well, let me do that offline since I'm having issues at the moment. Okay, then we'll go on to the next one. So that will take one of the large items out of this sprint. 1385 we have is in progress. Let's see. Abhilash, I'm not sure if Abhilash is on the bridge. Amit, do you happen to know the status on this item? It's shown as in progress.
Julia, I need to get back to you on this.
And I do not know what's going on with my screen today, so it's not acting well with Jira for some reason. Okay, so we'll check on this one, see where we are on stats for 1385. 1090, operational state ONT uni port data. This one, Chip, we had you assigned at one point, but that was in a previous position. So I don't know if we need to remove you from the assignee at this point. We had a question, there was a related Garrett, we weren't quite sure. I think where we left this is you were checking to see if some of this was covered or if it had been merged in.
Yeah, I know the metric start collector was merged in, definitely in 1.x. And I remember, I think, seeing a review for 2.0 that completed. So it is probably published.
Okay.
So
So should I leave this one assigned to you, or should we move it to someone else to confirm where things are at this point?
yeah, let me actually look in the open OMCI adapter and see if that's added. I can do that while we look at others.
Okay, thank you.
I'll do that right now in the
All
background.
right. And then 1408 HA testing. This, I think we had that high level discussion. This one's tracking oh, this is not one we talked about earlier, sorry. So Ken, I don't know if this is a placeholder to capture additional detail later for subtasks. 1408.
It was a yeah, it was a kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Anything regarding HA testing. So it's kind of a placeholder for other items as well.
Okay. So I think that one stays open at this point is my guess. And then
yes.
similarly for the integration testing between OF agent, Affinity Router, and Core, we've been leaving that one open for the last couple of sprints as well. And then 1564 in progress as well. This one, we still have two patches that needed to be merged in. We see one of them is complete. And they are both merged at this point. So I think that happened during the merge effort last week. So I believe we can move this one to done since both of those have merged. Any objections from the group? Okay, so I'll move that to done after the call with a little note to close that out. We have a sort of open-ended one here. I don't believe Zach's on the call today. This is related to the release engineering process. So we may need to circle back to that discussion later. So we'll wait till Zach's on for that. 1661 was another one in progress. I think we were having issues replicating this item. Do we have any new info that's come up over the last couple of weeks on this? I'm guessing not, because if so, I think the logs would have been sent with an update here. So 1661, are we sort of monitoring this one? This is with when starting VOLTHA. Sometimes the API server or AF router needs to be restarted. There should not be a startup dependency. So it's been happening infrequently as of the end of July. So I'm not sure if there have been any more occurrences in the last few weeks. So if it's just in monitor mode at this point.
I think we know
yeah,
there's
let's
a
leave this open.
Okay. 1845 for delete device and OpenOLT adapter. This one is in progress. I don't think we've got anyone on the call to give the update on that today.
Julie,
you know, yes.
Yeah, so this is currently a work in progress.
Okay.
I think it's testing for a few scenarios.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And this is a relatively new ticket also. Thank you. Okay. We have another one from the BAL Brigade work ongoing, VOL 1852, that is in progress. That status is usually tracked there. We do have a couple patches open for review. 1857, this one has a patch open for review as well. This is allow VOLTHA 2.x adapters to update port state while devices opt down. So that one is out for review currently. 1858 is out for review as well. And let's see, 1862, this one was done in the stabilization branch, and at the time, a few days ago at least, still needed to be cherry-picked to master. So I'm not sure if that has been completed or not, but I expect this.
I'm working on that one.
Okay, good. So that one should close out soon. Thank you, Ken. And thank you for that reminder when you sent the comment. I should have remembered that before I asked you the question.
No worries.
1847, fixed flow delete issue in read-write core is in progress as well. This one, so we have it in, I'm not sure if this one is complete at this point. So there was a pointer in the comment that is addressed as part of this patch for 1623. And so I don't know if there's additional work, or now that that has been merged in, if we can move this one to done. Amit, do you know for this item, 1847?
As far as I understand, I think this is done, but
Okay.
I can cross-check and get back to you.
Okay, that's what I thought when I saw the merge go in for the other. So we'll likely get that done, but we'll just confirm first. So thanks for your help there.
Sure.
1863, test impacted scaling ONU count on VOLTHA adapter components. I believe I've moved this one to the sprint because it was in progress. William's working on this one. And we do have an item out there under review as well. Is there anything we need to discuss on this today? There's been some exchange in JIRA on comments. Okay. Then 1878, this is another one where we've got the review out there in Garrett. We talked about this in the review of new issues today. And then 1883 was one of the new issues we talked about as well. I think that takes us through the in-progress work. We have a number of patches out there under review at the moment, so hopefully those will be moving along. If you do need assistance getting people contacted for reviews in Garrett, please let me know if there's something I can do to help, and I will try and get the right folks signed up to do that work. Then I think as this in-progress work completes, then some of these to-do items will get picked up and then moved into the in-progress state. So that's currently what we have on the plan for Sprint 6 at the moment. So a lot of it is the carryover from Sprint 5 plus a number of new items that have been opened up during the last couple of weeks. Any questions from the group?
Julie,
Yes.
yeah, I had not a question really. So there is one more user. JIRA, the number is 1837, and I just now changed the fixed version to VOLTHA 2.1. That was not there. We are working on it. This is for the unit test for the Golang OpenVolt adapter, and as part of this, there are a couple of reviews that are already uploaded for one of the subtasks. So the one that I wanted to talk about was 14893. The first one. Yeah, so Ken has given a +1 to this, and as well as Girish. So just wanted to check with Ken or Matt who could do a +2 on this, or are there any further questions on it? Because unless this is merged, we can't go ahead with pushing the changes for the other commit.
Do you need anybody that knows the adapter a little bit more to take a look at it, or you're good with it? With whatever reviews you already got?
As in from our side, it's fine.
Okay, and it was tested, right?
Yeah, that's tested. Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I'll do a +2 on it.
And there are unit tests in there.
So David, the change is so that we can support the unit tests. So basically converting some of the structs to Golang interfaces so that we could write unit tests in an easier and better way.
I believe there is another patch set that goes over those unit tests.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the next one, which is 14894, but that's failing right now because 14893 is not yet merged.
What I added one activity inside mode. If a run script by default is false, but if the user
Any other concerns?
true.
Okay, so then once this one gets merged in, then the work on the unit test can proceed, and hopefully that one will be able to be merged in soon as well. But it's currently blocked by this. So Ken, thanks for helping with that. Any other questions from the group or discussion on this item?
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Julie.
Yep. And I'll go ahead and move this to the active sprint after the call as well. Okay, and I believe we are pretty much out of time because we need to hop over to the SIBA call for some updates on BBSIM in a moment as well. So I believe the topic we have right now for Thursday is, I think we're on track for the Redfish importer demo. I had heard through the grapevine that there is some progress on resolving the VPN issues. I don't know the update on testing if that has been verified, but I think we're hopefully on track for Thursday. Do we have Dinesh on the call? I don't think he's on the call today. Okay, so this is our plan for Thursday. Any other topics that you'd like to see bumped up to the Thursday agenda? Okay, so I'll let everyone go for now. I think we'll wrap up today's call. So thank you everyone for your participation. I'll go ahead and stop the recording. We'll close the bridge. Thank you.
Okay.